Welcome to the Terra Champion Skyrim 3v3 Solo Queue Priest Guide. First off, what are your goals as a priest? Your goals are to keep your team alive, buff them, debuff your enemies, CC your enemies, and cleanse your allies of debuffs. If your team gets regressed or plagued, you want to rebuff them with the endurance buff and the power buff. And if you get plagued, you want to rebuff yourself with the blessing of Xenophobia's movement speed for in combat from the glyph. It's really helpful to rebuff endurance, which a lot of people don't do, because if you get hit, your DPS will get hit harder, and so will you, and you sometimes can't out-heal the damage if they aren't hit with the endurance buff. And if they are taking lots of damage and you can't heal them enough, they'll start playing more passively, and they won't dish out as much damage as they possibly can. And the power buff, of course, just makes them do more damage when they attack. The movement speed buff will keep you so much safer. If the enemy can't catch up to you, they can't cast skills on you, unless they're lock-ons or range skills. But sometimes they can't even get in range to use range skills when you're using it. So it's very, very helpful. You should be using energy stars off cooldown. You should be targeting a player who you think won't actually dodge it. So if your team's focusing in the healer, and they're getting stunned and KD locked, and you don't think they can dodge it, they're obviously a pretty good target, since they probably won't dodge it. The attack speed and the power are so big, if you're using it and the enemy is not, then that could be the deciding factor of who wins the game just off of using E-stars. One thing you want to do is plague, and you want to be plaguing Akai's and GS off of a priest, or the endurance buff off of a mystic. If you're fighting a mystic, if you've already plagued the endurance buff, you either want to save your plague for the DPS's Bloodlust in Cold Blood or Shadow Reaping, or just be using it off cooldown, because of the debuff to your skills that make them last 50% longer, or the cooldown. When you see the enemy casting, you want to pay attention to what skills your enemies are casting. If you see them about to cast a stun or slow, you want to try and cleanse that directly afterwards, so they stay stunned for as little time as possible, or slowed as little as possible. That way they can continuously output pressure. Also get rid of healing debuffs, because that way you can heal them better and spend less mana healing them. If your team's focusing a DPS, you should try and sleep the healer. If your team's focusing the healer, you should try and sleep the DPS who can stop your DPS the most. Example, an archer has lots of knockdowns, stuns, and staggers, so they can really stop your DPS from outputting anything. So they are very good to sleep because they can just completely stop your DPS. If you do land a sleep on someone, you want to try and knock down them at the end of the duration, so either they blow their retaliate and they've spent more time not doing anything, or they don't blow their retaliate and they spend even more time not casting anything. If you're really sure that you won't be punished for it, you can walk up to the enemies and knock down them. That's free casting, or you can add to the person you're getting focused on the KD chain. If they KD chain them, it can end up in them being killed or them just walking out. If you get someone else who isn't being focused, it can stop them from casting a big skill that will stop your team from outputting damage or pressure. But of course, you have to be careful that you don't get hit by the enemy you're trying to knock down. If you're trying to knock down an archer and they stagger you into a face kick, they can potentially solo you. So you have to be careful that you won't get punished for actually knockdowning someone. You can also knock up, which is much safer, but you have to make sure that you don't stop your team from knockdowning or stunning their target, and then them just getting away, because it can either destroy your enemies or destroy your allies. You also want to pay careful attention to where you're positioned. You want to try and stay within 20 meters of your allies. That way, with the long shot glyph on the focus heal, you can hit them with a heal at all times. But you also want to make sure that you're not too close to your enemies in their threat zone. Because if you get face kicked by an archer, then you can potentially just get soloed again. And you don't want to get soloed. If your teams both are on the healer, you want to try and stay at least 18 meters away from them if the enemy team has a Lancer. Because if they use Giga Leash on them, and you don't get pulled out into it, and you cleanse the team, the Giga will have so much less impact than if all three of you got hit by the Giga. The glyphs I use are on right here for team Q and solo Q. If you want a better understanding of every skill and some of the glyphs that go along with it, you can go to terrapvpwikia.com, go to wiki content, priest basics or mystic basics. It was created by myself, Blondie, Ishariki, Yithar, and Cosmo42. It talks about each skill, some of the glyphs that go along with it, potential glyph builds, if you want to do team Q, potential gear rolls that you want to actually get for your gear, and random tips and other helpful videos. It's a very good resource, and I hope you use this video and any other tips you find on this website very well. Thanks for watching. This link will be in the description.